Chrissy Williams, welcome.
Okay, I would like to just talk briefly on behalf of council staff, just to say that with the Natural Environment Recovery Program, we have a 6-month report here, and you'll see that the program of work has matured considerably in that time, and we would like to recognise the great work that Chrissy has done for managing the NERP and the excellent job that she has done. And with a lot of the work now maturing and becoming integrated into the council's operational work, it means that obviously there has been a review about the project manager's role in that, and Chrissy's time has been scaled back down to half an FTE. So that is really pleasing to see that the program of work across the agencies is really working well. And obviously for council there are still big challenges ahead around matters such as stormwater, the land drainage recovery program, working also with the stormwater management plan program of work, where we are working towards a comprehensive stormwater discharge consent for our network across our jurisdiction, and that is a consent that we are to lodge with ECAN at the end of June this year. So there's a lot of work with council staff, closely with ECAN staff, and on a lot of important matters around the stormwater issues that are facing the council. Obviously, I would also like to touch base on the fact that the NERP has come to a point where it was quite timely for Chrissy and others to organise 6 seminars, which were held from February through to April, I think it was. And they were very well attended, those seminars. Between 70 to 100 people came, and I know that a number of you also attended. So those presentations were a great opportunity for the community to get an update of what is happening in the natural environment, and those have been put as videos up on ECAN's website, so people can actually access them quite easily and get all that information, which is great. So from a council perspective, it's really pleasing to be part of this program, and to have Chrissy's support and where she's been able to drive it, and also find opportunities and make those linkages for us. So I'll pass it over to Chrissy.
Thank you, Clive. Yeah, thanks for those comments. And mine are similar in that I'd really like to acknowledge the collaboration that's across all partners for the Natural Environment Recovery Program. It's still continuing, just with less requirement of my time to lead it, because as Clive has said, it's maturing into business as usual, terrible word, into existing programs of the various councils. So that's where it's leading. And our preferred option for transition is that the Natural Environment Technical Advisory Group, or what may be by a different name, would sit under as an advisory group to the UDS, if that's where we end up with in transition. So there hasn't been a natural environment sort of advisory group under the UDS prior to the earthquakes, and we see that as an opportunity to continue that partnership and collaboration. So there's 3 parts of the report. There's the report that Clive's talked to on pages 111 to 113, which is highlighting the Christchurch City Council's roles in natural environment recovery program issues, many of which are works that you're continuing with anyway. They're reported on the coloured sheets on the next few pages, and I'm happy to answer questions about those, but I don't plan to speak to any of those specifically. And then we've also included the report that went to the Recovery Strategy Advisory Committee on the 17th of April, and as Clive said, that refers to the update sessions we had in the function room here, and really grateful for the council's use of that room and the staff that helped make sure those happened, with setting up the room and also making sure the IT was working at various stages. So the plans now is that for 2 days a week, we'll continue addressing the collaboration. We'll continue reporting at a 3-monthly rate. This is a 6-monthly report just because of the Christmas break. And we'll continue working with various community organisations who are participating in a number of the programs. And some of those are groups who've got aspirations for projects within the residential red zone, so working alongside those to make sure they have technical information they might need. But the rest of that process is being led by Sarah, as you're aware. So I think that's all we need to say, and happy to do the rest by questions, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I'll just comment on the successions. I haven't been able to get to them, but the feedback that I've had has been really, really positive. And I've just noticed you've got the number of views on YouTube, and the earthquake changes to the coast and estuary intensified by sea level rise. That's a hugely important topic for us at the council with the district plan review. So I know that we're going to be referring a lot of people to that website over the next wee while as we get ready to notify the second part of the natural hazards chapter. So thank you very much for making that happen, and I understand there's to be another presentation for councillors and commissioners in the near future.
Yes, Helen Beaumont and I met about that yesterday.
Great.
To
Phil?
plan for that.
Yep.
Hopefully in May.
Yep. Yanni?
Three questions. Thank you for the report. On page 116 on 8, just really concerned at the third bullet point. The wastewater network model has been updated to include skirt work. This will be calibrated using flow monitoring once skirt work is complete, and a comparison will be made pre-earthquake model, blah, blah, blah. Results will determine if consent compliance is achievable or whether a new consent will be required. And then it goes on, there's a risk that the wastewater network rebuild not sufficient to achieve equal or better than pre-earthquake overflow frequencies and volumes. So was just really worried about what that means for us and what's been done to mitigate that risk.
I can comment that there was an existing consent for overflows. There was then a variation or a new consent applied for by the City Council before the earthquakes. Post the earthquake, there was an agreement between the Christchurch City Council and Enviroment Canterbury that enforcement of either of those consents would not happen for a number of years, and the expiry date of that is
2017.
2017. So at that stage, the situation will be reassessed depending on where the repair is and what the modelling is saying. So yes, there may have to be another consent applied for, but that's something that will assess the situation at that time, and probably it's best if staff comment more than that.
Okay, so my concern was that we're not going to know until the skirt work's finished, and then we're going to end up in a situation where we can't meet our consent. So I would have thought that there should be some intervention now so that we can be reassured that the skirt work we're doing is helping us meet that consent rather than leaving it as a big risk until the end.
Maybe we could get a report back on that when we're dealing with the other matters.
Under 13 on page 117, I note that it says that the council has called for expressions of interest for the use of Porritt Park, which closed on the 4th of March, and we're going to advertise our intention to lease out the park.
Sorry, where's this?
On page 117.13. So it's probably more a question of our CEO or of our staff. I don't recall us making that decision. In fact, what I thought is we would put on hold any decisions about the red zone.
We did.
Because...
Sorry, I can't find this. Where is it?
Just under CCC.
So my eyesight's not as good as it used to be. No.
So I'm just really concerned that there's a community expectation that we're going to have a sports park on Porritt Park, and as a council, we haven't... I just am concerned, and this has been raised previously, how we've got so far down a process without us making a clear decision.
So that's a really good point. Let's get an answer to that. Not now.
Not now? Okay.
Not under the NERP, no.
Final question from me is just on page 118 under 14. 1, 2, 3, 4 bullet point. The WEMT has worked closely with Sarah and CCDU to enable land remediation and construction works in the central justice and transport precincts. This has highlighted potential issues regarding asbestos, demolition waste and dust management. Now, I've previously raised the concerns over the Metro Sports, but I am concerned to be again reading problems with the anchor projects in this regard, given that these issues have repeatedly been raised as a concern. So I'd like to know what are those risks and issues that have been identified, and why are they continuing to be repeated on these sites that are controlled by Sarah and CCDU.
I don't think that it's
I
the
can't
program
tell.
coordinator that's down to
Well, maybe
answer
not,
that
okay,
question.
but that's really good
they're the
information.
questions that you want to have followed up.
Yeah, and I appreciate the information that's contained in this report. And again,
Yeah.
I just echo thanks to Chrissy and to Clive for the work they've done around these reports. They're really, really good reports. But
Yep.
can we have a process to get those answers, particularly around those anchor projects?
Well, why don't we have received the Natural Environment Recovery Program Progress Report for October 2014 to March 2015 and invite the Chief Executive to report back on the issues raised at the next meeting of the council. Yep.
That's fine for all councillors. I just wanted to emphasise, though, that the Waste Environmental Management team, they do provide a regular report to the Environmental Transport Infrastructure Committee, and so that is available and has been part of our regular monitoring as a council too. So the information is available, and we can particularly ask them questions when the report comes to council.
I understand that. I guess my concern is that every time we get a NERP report, we get highlighted these issues, and they're the same issues, new project. And so we're just repeating. We're just repeating constantly, being told there's an issue, there's an issue, there's an issue, but these issues are reoccurring and have got significant health impacts.
Okay, so let's list the issues that we're going to have reported back to the next council, and it may be just a reference to the report, the latest report to your committee. So they are the first one's the consent. So the consent issue, is that right? A discharge consent?
That's what work is being done to minimise or mitigate the risk.
No, I understand what the issue
Okay,
is, but
thanks.
I'm just identifying what the issues are. It's the Porritt Park and the WEMT report on asbestos. Is it asbestos, demolition waste and dust management?
One of the potential issues regarding asbestos demolition waste and dust management
Yeah.
for the justice and transport precincts, and why have these issues been again identified when we've had previous projects identified?
Yeah.
So what are we doing to stop
Yeah,
these
no,
issues
no,
from happening?
the thing is that we know what the three issues that have been raised are, and I think that's very useful. So, Vicky.
On item 12, the community gardens and food forest, is ECAN actually putting any funding into that? I know there's a joint group, and I know there's a food resilience network, but is there any funding coming from ECAN?
No.
None? Right, okay.
Okay, so would someone like to move and second this report? Paul Lonsdale, seconded Phil Clearwater. I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried.